a very special young woman that has a great calling on her life. She is feeling led by the Lord, and she is someone that is very sensitive to the direction of the Lord in her life. And she has been such a blessing, and I'm speaking of Miss Emily right here. And she's going to share just a little bit with us about what she is doing. This will be her last Sunday with us for a little while, as she takes the steps and steps off into the adventure of what she is going into. And so I'm going to turn it over and let you share. And we've got a video, I think, that's ready also.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am not the greatest person at speeches, so bear with me this morning. So I wanted just to share a little bit about the place that I'm going. The place that I'm going is called Presence Worship Residency. And I wrote down some notes that way I don't get caught up in any just stumbling over my words. But there was a couple that just felt called to start a ministry called Presence Worship, and it is founded in Newton, Kansas, which is where I'll be going beginning of next Sunday. And the residency is, they have just some different people that have gotten accepted through application process, and just the stuff that they're teaching is really just what I feel like the Lord has been drawing me to, is just learning to worship Him, but not in, I feel like, the sense of what a lot of churches do, where it's not necessarily stage presence, but it's more focusing on Jesus Himself and focusing on just the more important thing. And so what we'll be doing at the residency, which is the family has, they have a school that they turned over into their house, so that we get to live with the family for the 2 months. And then we get to sit in front of instructors just teaching about just things biblical, but also just the heart of discipleship and the heart of worship, and as well as just learning to grow musically, but also just growing spiritually. And so we get to live with the family for 2 months, and we get to just live with the residents that are going to be there with us for the summer. And then we get to we'll be traveling to a couple different places where they're going to be hosting some camps through their ministry, and then we get to travel to different churches around the area of Kansas, and we get to help volunteer on those Sundays, and get to be a part of that. But I kind of just trying to think last night, just what do I want to say just for this morning. And I think just what started my wanting to go to this residency was, I found it was whenever we were actually looking for a church, and I came out of I was just very burnt out with just the atmosphere of worship in the church, just where it wasn't about God. It was about just sounding good and looking good, and it was about the physical and not the spiritual. And so that really, it kind of crushed me. I'm trying to cry about it because it's just a very thing I'm passionate about, but just it crushed me in that time because that's my heart. And so not having an atmosphere where I couldn't do that was really hard. And so I went to one of the camps that they were doing in St. Louis, and I was just, because coming out of the season that I had where I was just kind of burnt out with worship, and I went to the camp, and I remember telling my mom, I'm like, if it's like the place that I just came from, I'm not coming back. And so I gave it a day, and then I went the second day, and it was so refreshing because it was what I was looking for. Because I never heard the things that I heard before about making sure you had stage presence and making sure you looked good in that aspect, but it was more about looking at Jesus and ministering to his heart and honoring him and loving him and giving him what he's due of. And so that was just, it was just what I needed in that time, and during just trying to figure out what I wanted to do just in the next steps, even after graduating, I had my heart set just on this other school, and I was determined that I was going to go to the school, and I've been praying about it for a long time, and I never really heard God just tell me to go for it, and I knew that if he wasn't sending me, then I wasn't going to go, because I knew that I wanted his blessing and I wanted his favor on my life, and so if he wasn't leading me there, then it wasn't worth going. And so my mom had just encouraged me just to consider applying for the residency, and I realized that when the camp was over and that I was sad that it was over, that I really started considering it. And so I had applied like a month before applications were supposed to come in. And then I found out in January that that I had gotten accepted into the residency. And so just I'm really expectant, just excited just for what God's gonna do, and I feel like through this process, I feel like he's taken me to a deeper place where it's my eyes have been open to see him in a way that I didn't know that I could. And so I'm really excited just to be with people who are like-minded and who are not just going to grow with me, but also push me to grow more and to become better, not just spiritually, but also musically.